Hi, everybody. Mrs. Norris here. I wanted to walk you through document B and how to find the answers for these questions. So if you're watching this video, it seems like you might have needed a little bit of help and support in locating the answers in the text for each of the document analysis questions. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some time. This is our roadmap for today. I'm going to give you some time to read over the text and the questions and your answers, and then I'm going to walk you through how to answer each question. And then what I would like for you to do is change your answers according to what we discuss today. Okay, so at this moment, what I'd like for you to do is pause the video, this tutorial here, and either listen to me reading the text to you using the audio button, or read the text to yourself and then review your answers to the document analysis questions. So do that for me now, please, and then we'll come back together in just a moment. All right, so at this point, you have reread the text and you have looked at your answers to the questions. And hopefully today, the goal is to show you how to refine or better answer the questions for the document analysis, okay? So let's look at number one. And I know number one, I went through with you on the original tutorial video. I didn't give you the answer to type, but maybe you did that for yourself. All right, but let's review it. So number one, it says, what is the main idea of the Madison quote? And as we discussed in the tutorial, the main idea is the fact that if one person or group of people is going to have all of the power, then you're going to eventually be led into a tyranny, which, as we should remember from document A, is exactly what Madison and the other founding fathers of the writers of the Constitution were trying to avoid. Okay, so again, the whole point of his quote is to share with us that you don't want one person or a group of people to have all the power because you don't want to have a tyranny. So let's look at how we found that answer, okay? And it says the accumulation of all power. So accumulation, looking it up, means the concentration, all of the power coming together, okay? So all of it adding up, that's accumulation, adding up. So all of the powers adding up in the same hands may be justly pronounced the very definition of tyranny. Okay. So again, all of the power coming together, if you give it all to one person or one group of people, then you're going to have a tyranny. And I can find that answer right here. So I'm going to go ahead and click and drag. And if you don't have this correct information highlighted, then I'd like you to click and drag your work, your highlighting squares, so that you can do this together. And then I'm just going to copy and paste the size on this. Okay. So this is what's going to help me answer number one. So I'm going to go ahead and put my number one next to each of these squares. Okay. So these three pieces of his quote are going to help me to answer this question. I know that that's the bulk of what he's trying to say here. It's continuing that quote. It says, liberty requires that the three great departments of power should be separate and distinct. So not all added up into one group or one person, but spread out amongst different departments. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that into my own words. And again, The point of annotating your text is to help you to show the connection between your answer and the text that you've read. So that's why it's important for you to show where you found your answer in the text. So I'm going to go ahead and erase this text here, and I'm going to type my answer. So what I want you to do is, if you don't have an answer that's close to this, then I want you to pause this tutorial and copy my answer there. All right, so we have our answer to number 1. Let's look at number 2. Does Madison say it is possible to have tyranny in a democracy? Please explain. Yes, okay. He says in that quote itself that powers given to one or a few or many, whether it's hereditary, meaning passed down from family to family, self-appointed, meaning they give themselves the job, or elective, then that might bring us to a tyranny as well. So even if it doesn't matter the circumstance of how they came into power, if they have all of the power, then they're going to eventually lead us into tyranny. And we can see that in this middle section right here. Okay, so that along with what we have in number 1, those two ideas together are going to bring us to our answer for question number 2. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight this. I'm just going to resize here. Okay, and then I'm going to put the number 2 next to this. Okay, and then I'm going to put these ideas together. The fact that in number 1, it's talking about all of the power with one person or group, and number 2, the continuation of the quote, no matter how they came into power, if they have all of the power, then that's going to give us tyranny. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and write that answer right here. Let's see. Does Madison say it's possible to have a tyranny in a democracy? Yes, he does. Even if the power is hereditary, self-appointed, or elective, comma, if all of the power is in the hands of the same person or group, then you will have a tyranny. Okay, so please go ahead and pause this tutorial and annotate your text, and then write your new answer here if your current answer is not correct. All right, let's take a look at number 3. It says, what is the primary job of each branch? So the articles that are outlined in this center box here, Article 1, Article 2, and Article 3, tell you what each branch is and what their job is. And you have to have a little bit of background knowledge to know what legislative, executive, and judicial power means, which can come from this video here. So if you didn't watch this video, then I would pause this tutorial now and watch the video now, so that when I talk about what each of these things mean, you have a better idea. So it outlines what each branch's job is in these 3 articles. So all the legislative power is granted herein granted shall be vested in the Congress of the United States. Okay, so all of the power to write the law is given to the legislative branch, the Congress. Okay, the executive power shall be vested in a president of the United States. So all of the executive power, the power to enforce the laws, is given to the president. And then finally, the judicial power of the United States shall be invested in one Supreme Court and the inferior courts. The judicial branch, the judicial power, means that they're making sure that the laws are being followed according to the laws that are written. Okay, so each of these three things is going to help me to answer the question, and my prior knowledge that comes also from this video is going to help me as well. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight here. I'm going to resize. Okay, and then put number 3 next to it. Okay, then I'm going to copy and paste, and this will go for the executive branch, and then paste again, the judicial branch. Okay, and then my number 3. And my number 3. Okay, and so now I'm going to write my answer. The legislature makes the laws, the executive enforces the laws, the judicial branch judges if the laws have been broken. Okay, so at this point, go ahead and pause the video, highlight where your answers are, drag the numbers next to them, and then copy our answer if your answer is not correct. All right, moving right along. It says number 4, what would James Madison say about allowing a person elected to the House of Representatives to serve at the same time on the Supreme Court? Explain his thinking. So when you think about it, it says right there, so the question is, if someone is in the House of Representatives, can they also be on the Supreme Court? And obviously, this is not something that he would want, because it's in the same hands. We have somebody who is, according to Article 1, in the legislative branch, and somebody who is, according to Article 3, in the judicial branch. They can't be in both, because now we have a concentration of power. Power is added. And is it in all three? No, it's not. But it's very difficult to be unbiased, to be impartial if you are in both branches at the same time. It's very difficult to check yourself if you're in both. And so now you've got the power concentrated in the hands of one person, okay? And that's exactly what they were trying to avoid. So what helps me answer that question? Well, this right here, as well as what I've highlighted up here for number 1, those are all going to help me to answer question number 4. So I'm going to go ahead and put a number 4 here, and a number 4 down here. I want it to be even. I'm a little crazy about that. And a number 4 up here. I'll put it right there. Okay. So, and as well as here. Okay. So putting all of this together, if you have one person who is in one branch as well as another branch, then power is added together in the same hands. And that is what is going to lead us to tyranny. That's a person who has too much power. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and erase this for number 4. And I'm going to say, what would I think Madison say? Well, Madison would probably say that this is one step closer to becoming tyranny. Okay. You can't have someone in 2 branches because then you are giving too much power to one person. Okay. So please pause the video. If your answer is not close to this, go ahead and copy my answer and then make sure that you move your number 4 next to where we found that answer, that support in the text. Okay, and now number 5, our final question. How does the separation of powers guard against tyranny? Okay, it says, well, let's put all of this stuff together, right? So in the articles, we have 3 different branches. So that's 3 different kinds of power: making the laws, enforcing the laws, and judging the laws. 3 different powers, separating powers so that the power can't be all added together or given to a single group. So by separating these 3 powers, then you are avoiding one person or one group from having all of the power and doing whatever they want. So I'm going to go ahead and move my number 5. I'm going to move it to right here because that encompasses or includes all of what's in this box here. Okay. And then I'm going to put my thoughts into number 5. So by separating these 3 powers, then you avoid one person or one group from having all of the power and doing whatever they want. So I'm going to write that. From having too much power, keep one person from having too much power and from doing whatever they want. Okay, so please go ahead and pause this tutorial. Make sure that you move your number 5 in the appropriate spot, and then please copy the answer if the answer that you have currently is not similar to what I've written here. All right, so you've attempted to do this on your own, and maybe you were successful, maybe you needed a little bit of extra support, and hopefully with this video, you've been able to get that. What I would like you to do now is to resubmit your document B. What I'm going to be looking for is making sure that you have I'm trying to think of what I was going to say next. Sorry, guys. Making sure that you have annotated your text. So we have our yellow highlighting squares and then our numbers to show where we found the answer. And then making sure that you have the correct responses to your document analysis. So then for documents C and D, I will walk you through C just as I did here. And then you will do D on your own. Okay. So again, what you are doing right now is you are making sure that you have all of your annotation done, your yellow squares and your question numbers. All of your questions have been updated with the correct responses, and then resubmit your work into Canvas.